Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Fridays with Ambassador Terry and friends. This is our inaugural edition. I have a marvelous, great friend with me to start it off, Kon Apostolopoulos, international author, speaker, thought leader, and really funny guy. And welcome, Kon. I'm so glad that you made the first one.
It's so good to be here with you, Terry. I will always be your first on this show, and that's something no one can take away from me.
That's right. That's right. You are number one. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Ambassador Terry. And, today the inaugural edition is kind of a recapsule of what's going on out there in social media and what we see with our mentees and clients, businesses that we are serving around the world. And Kon is international as I am, so it'll be a fabulous takeoff conversation. So I'm going to start it off, Kon, with, Ford just released a social PR PSA that they're going to drop 3,000 people in the gas section of their cars and trucks to start gearing up for the electrical vehicle revolution. Well, that's not necessarily a good idea, and you and I have talked about that a lot. That goes along with my book, Consortium Business Model for the 21st Century, where you take those 3,000 people and put them into massive groups and let them come up with new revenue streams. Don't send them home, put them on the unemployment line. Let's keep them busy. In fact, let's build some new revenue streams that can possibly even bring that out. Now, you have a number of books, Kon. A couple of them are hitting the bestseller list, and you've spoken about them internationally. Perhaps you can chime in on initially what you see.
Sure. I think this is yet another example of where people are making decisions with the short-term bottom line in mind, rather than looking at things from a more long-term perspective. We see things playing out on a cycle right now. There's a pendulum that's swinging back and forth, and there's a power struggle between leadership and employees, their workforce, between management and how that workforce needs to respond to things. And that's not a new power struggle. It's been going on, but people don't seem to be learning from the messages and from the lessons that transpired in the last few years. I mean, take a look at what was happening pre-pandemic, just on the dawn of that. 2020, the beginning, we were talking about a war for talent. Companies were struggling to fill their seats with qualified people, with good leaders at all levels of their organizations. The pandemic hit, and the same people that made that decision for Ford are probably the same ones that told many of these large corporations, let people go, furlough them by the thousands in order to save our bottom line. Now, fast forward now, as the market is starting to open, we get away from that initial crisis, if you will, that piece where it says, okay, we're opening up the markets again. And now these same companies, these same decision makers are expecting people to just come back in droves and just start where they pick up where they left off. Well, that's almost 18 months, almost 2 years later. People have moved on with their lives. They haven't been waiting to collect a paycheck all this time. They've been trying to figure out what they were going to do. Many of them started their own businesses. Many of them found different ways of occupying themselves or making a difference. So now these same companies are struggling. Their problems are compounded. They have wonderful business plans. I mean, you've probably written several of them yourself and helping a lot of these senior executives build these wonderful plans, Terry. But without the people to execute these plans, that's not even worth the paper it's written on. So you look at these decisions that they're making, and in many ways, they're trying to get a foothold. They're trying to save that bottom line, but also regain control about who has the power of employment.
Agreed. Well, we've talked about it many times. And, not only are they trying to force the people back into the office, they're not ready and they don't want to. Yeah. They are soft quitting, sitting in their chairs. They're forced to come to work, and they're doing exactly what they are told to do, nothing else.
Yeah,
brilliant marketing plans that just fall apart because of there's people there who are brilliant, but they're not going to execute because they're not getting paid to. They're not, recognized as a resource in the company, an investment in the company's future. Go ahead.
I want to come back to a point that you made right at the onset, and you referenced it about why do we not engage these people to come up with new ideas and new revenue streams? Because the people closest to the work are the ones that have great insight into how things operate. And at the essence, at the heart of what you were talking about is the word partnerships, right? Partnerships between individuals and organizations, between leaders and their team members, partnerships. But any good, healthy partnership is built on a foundation of trust. So trust, how does trust happen? Trust happens when I become trustworthy to the other person. And how do I become trustworthy? By keeping my commitments, my promises, by doing what I'm saying I'm going to do. And that is the big breach that's happened. That's a big part of what led in many ways to the Great Resignation and to this great migration of the workforce, where people are looking at it saying, well, you know what? I'm not seeing organizations fulfill me or fulfill their commitments toward me. I'm not seeing a lot of that. What is quiet quitting? Quiet quitting is saying, you know what? You're expecting me to do more with less. And I am resisting that. I am saying, you know what? Hey, I'm setting a boundary. For many people, it's a healthy boundary that says, you know what? I'm going to do what you expect me to do. Why? Because you made this relationship transactional. Because you're telling me your bottom line matters, and now you're making it transactional, as opposed to that higher level, that consortium level that you talk about a lot, Terry, where we talk about this piece as a true partnership, where individuals can truly fulfill their goals, their personal, professional goals inside the team, inside the organization. You know, everybody talks about the grass being greener on the other side. I disagree. The grass is greener where you water it and where you engage people, where you fire them up, where you get them excited about what's happening and they see themselves being successful within your organization. That's where the grass grows very, very green.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of you who understand this little tidbit, EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization. That before the EBIT line is hard income and expense. After that can be manipulated, take a write-off. There's a lot of different things that can affect that. But a lot of employees, I wouldn't say but, and a lot of corporate employees, that is their number. Okay, for their bonuses, all those kinds of things, not what they do after that line, it's at that line, okay? And if you're not looking at your people as the part of the investment, you know, I praise Sir Richard Branson all the time, but he's right on. Take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers. That guy don't have any employment issues, okay? Yep. And this quiet quitting thing, that's them sitting there. They're doing their job, but they're looking. They're not going to be there. Okay. And here we are coming into Q4, and that's a lot about what you and I talked about off camera in this last week or so. Q4 is about right now, everybody's doing their planning meetings and preparing for the calendar year, new year, or whatever that is for each organization. The key to that is, and we've been talking about this for 3 years out here all over lives and Zoom meetings and everything else. The key to that is bring in a thought leader who's strategic, international. Yeah, that's both of us. But it's valid because you bring a new mind, a new set of eyes into that planning meeting who can ask those sharp questions and get you thinking. So, Kon, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the quote from Einstein that says, you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. You need that fresh perspective. You need sometimes somebody coming in with those clear eyes that doesn't have that baggage can point to something, ask that dumb question, says, why are you doing it this way? there are so many different ways of looking at this that, you cannot continue to try to solve those problems with the old mentality. We are in a next normal. I don't say new normal, I say a next normal, because there's going to be another one after that, and another one after that, and another one after that. We are constantly evolving, but some things remain consistent. I mean, there's a term that many people have used over the last few years, and that term is VUCA. When we talk about an environment that's volatile, that's uncertain, that's complex, that's ambiguous. And it's a term derived from military operations, but it applies in this environment that we are in, this business environment that we are in. And I remember listening to a wonderful interview with Dr. Bob Johansson, and he talks about really switching that interpretation of VUCA around and saying the best way for us to deal with VUCA is to address it with VUCA. But instead of the word volatile, for example, replace that with vision. I mean, Terry, you've been involved with crafting many a vision about how an organization can operate and flourish and fulfill its goals. We can replace uncertainty with understanding and saying, okay, let's talk about this. Let's communicate with our people so we all have a similar frame, a same frame of understanding of what's important, what we're trying to accomplish, and why. Take complexity and turn it on its head using clarity and saying, okay, let's communicate that vision in very clear and certain terms from a perspective of this is what we're going after. This is clearly what we need to communicate to our people, to our audience, to our customers. And then finally, take that ambiguity out of it and replace it with agility and flexibility and being able to be flexible. So focus on what your workforce is trying to accomplish and why through those pieces, but worry less about how they get that done and where. That's why now organizations are looking at maybe there's some validity to this hybrid model. Maybe organizations can save on their EBITDA line and say, you know what, hey, we can look at this and get a lot more savings out of this if people are working from home and we're not wasting time left, right, and center with other things that are unnecessary. So there is merit to that, but it takes a true partnership and a trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, going further with that, and I teach it, it's in my consortium book as well. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, think for a moment, no matter where you are in a system, think for a moment how it felt when you really achieved something. Okay? Felt pretty good. In fact, you wanted to do it again. And if you achieve something very special with a group of people, that whole group is charged to do it again. Nobody's burned out. Nobody wants to take 2 weeks vacation. They're rocking. Okay. Now expand that out to an entire organization who has a vision in the future, not on a date, a vision in the future that everyone in the organization can buy into and wants to achieve that vision. Achieve, ladies and gentlemen, not meet the goals. We're talking about achievement. So then what happens is you're always going to have financial markers, okay? Those are end of quarters and all of those kinds of things. That's what the CFO and those guys are for, okay? Keep the stockholders happy with those numbers. Here's what's key, though. If you are part of an organization where you're achieving regularly, you're an overachiever, you're going to burn out because there's nobody there to support you and keep you happy and healthy. However, you have a whole organization that's rocking and rolling because they know they are part of a whole, then you really address something that has not been addressed before. Those goals and financial indicators will be met and exceeded every single quarter, every year, because you have an entire organization that's happy, healthy, and comes to work on time. And you can't have better than that. That is an investment with maximum ROI. Kon.
Yeah, and I'll take it for those people out there in our audience that may be listening to us and thinking, well, that's great, but it seems a little touchy-feely, a little kind of out there as a vision, as kind of a fantasy land. I'd like to offer a case study that I put together from doing this exact work with a client recently. Over the last, let's say, 5 years, let's put it, because it's not a next day thing. Over the last 5 years, when I started working with this client a little bit before then, this is a large construction organization, and it is one of 4 divisions that are fairly even markets with the other divisions. And I worked with the local regional president and his senior team. And at the time, they were striving to move into that $400 million revenue cycle piece. That was their goal, their aspirational goal. And at the time, they were closer to about 250 million. So they were looking to make a big leap and breakthrough. And they wanted everything that went with that. Not just the financial marker was there, but they wanted to do it in the right way. So fast forward, what we did is last year, this particular group, this one of 4 divisions, pandemic, mind you, in the middle of this as well, managed to hit 600 million. 600 million out of 1 billion that the entire company did, leaving the other 400 million to the other 3 divisions. Profit margins, they hit 24 million. The others combined hit 4 million. Their people numbers, employee satisfaction, employee retention, internal promotability numbers, all of the key performance indicators that you would associate with a high-performing team, off the charts compared to their peers in the other divisions, but the marketplace as a whole. This client of mine that we worked with on these drivers to create that kind of environment of achievement, of results that everybody can share in, of true engagement, is now outperforming. Even during the Great Resignation, Terry, while everybody was losing people, this group, they did lose some people, but not their A players. They lost some people, much less than everybody else. They were 5-10 percentage points below the turnover numbers of their peers in the other divisions, much higher compared to our market here. And they became a pole of attraction for those leaving other companies because they wanted to buy into this. That's the kind of organization. When you can become that kind of organization that can future-proof your workforce, get the results you're searching for, do it in a way that you become the choice place for others to work and to come for. You don't have to go out seeking talent. They come to you. You don't have to go out looking for clients and customers because they buy into what you're selling, because you can fulfill that commitment. You have their trust. That's in real terms, Jerry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You put it spot on, and I'm going to reword it and rephrase it. And that is, the best of the best, ladies and gentlemen, want to be with the best of the best because they achieve, they excel, they have that next level of opportunities. You know, it's often said, and I teach this in some of my classes, you want to hang out with a group of people that are demographically, income, whatever that is, where you want to be, not where you are. And you will assimilate what that energy is, what that knowledge is, that vernacular, the VUCA, we speak in VUCA, and it's true. It's absolutely true. I have a couple of mentees where I said, okay, you want to be here and you're here. Go find 5 people that are already there and make friends with them, coordinate with them, work with them, maybe play some golf, whatever. Hang around them because you will assimilate what they're doing. He's almost there now. He's almost there. He is probably about 80% over where he was before he started, and he's well on his way. Now, the same thing is true in an entire organization that's linked to a vision, okay? People who achieve. And I've said this a million times. I've already said it this morning. It's worth repeating. And that is when you have happy people, they are healthier, they come to work on time, and they achieve massive things that are way over stockholder expectations. But here's the key. okay, that energy assimilates to everybody else. There's no 2 or 3 people burning out. Everybody is vibrating at a new level, and that becomes the next norm, that next business level. That's what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking about woo-woo and changing vibrations and all of that. That's another day. But we are talking about simple mindset shifts that will accelerate yourselves and accelerate your companies. Kon?
Yeah. I mean, talk about that kind of culture that we're trying to build, that kind of high performing culture that we're trying to do, a resilient organization. And I've spoken and I've written about this extensively, as you know, Terry. And I go back to the heart of it. My mantra with my company, Fresh Biz Solutions, is hire hard, train smart, manage easy. And what you're talking about is that ultimate vision of a shared leadership model where we have leaders at all levels seeking to achieve individually and collectively, that makes managing that team a whole lot easier because you've got the right people in the right place on the right seat on the bus going in the right direction. You train them, you use your resources to develop that team and continue to grow that team appropriately. Managing them becomes a lot easier after that. I go back to the heart of it. I mean, I look at, we talk about an engaged workforce as being something that organizations are striving for right now. They want to engage their people to stop leaving through this great resignation or to stop quiet quitting in their seats. But that requires engagement from leadership. I'm tired of lazy leaders, lazy managers out there that don't want to do what their role is to truly light the fire inside, not under them, but inside them, inside their people so they can want to do that. And how do you do that? I mean, essentially, we're talking about 4 key triggers. What do people want? I mean, even if anybody in this audience, all of us, you, me, we all want the same thing. Number 1, we want to feel appreciated and valued. We want to feel like we matter, that if somebody cares that we actually are there. We want to feel that we're making a difference from that piece. So we want to feel like we're contributing. That's the second piece. So valued, contributing. We want to feel like we're connected, part of a successful team, Terry, like you were identifying. I want to be part of that A team. I want to feel like I belong. Where am I in this picture? How can I be part of this? How can I feel connected? There's a reason why Gallup asks, do you have a best friend at work? And that's a key indicator for retention. And then finally, people want to know that there's a future for them in this company, that they can grow and learn, and they can reach their goals within this organization. If you hit those 4 pieces, help your people feel valued, help your people feel like they are connected, like they are contributing, and they can grow and learn within your organization, you will engage them. You will create a resilient culture, a culture that wants to perform at a high level. These are the things that we can help, whether it's through the workshops that you and I do, Terry, whether it's through the individual or group coaching that we do, the programs that we offer. It could be building teamwork through special events and enhancing the connectedness between people, or even just laying the processes, the infrastructure, the systems that organizations need so everything is transparent and people know where they stand with things and how they can be successful. They want to know the rules of the game.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're fully engaged, as you just spoke of, retention is amazing as well. Okay. People can't hire you away because money is not the only driver.
Correct.
Am I going to be happy over there? I'm making good money here. And the mind shift, ladies and gentlemen, is not about where I'm going to work this year. The mindset shifts to, I'm building this company. This is my company and I'm part of it and I'm not going anywhere. And what's happening at home? Happy, healthy people who are taking care of themselves. They're eating better. They have better relationships with their families. Divorce rates go down. And here's that EBIT line again. When those issues are happening, insurance rates go down because there's less actual cost to healthcare and all those kinds of things. So what does that do to the EBIT line? It raises it. Okay. Yep. These people are investments. You create this. That's what I do in my companies. And that's what I've done all my adult life is I get everybody bought into where we're going. and forget about it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever gone to grandmother's house, you got the car loaded with kids and everything else that's in there, you expect to stop for gas or something. You expect to stop for a stoplight. There's certain expectations. Don't know when they are, but you expect them. So that when they happen, the world doesn't change. Okay, here's the stop. Let's take care of it. Get the kids to the bathroom, whatever it is. And then you keep going with the expectation of arrival, not the expectation of being there by 10 p.m. Okay? That drives everybody in the car so that the kids don't get worn out because there's no positive energy inside the cab. If they get tired, they fall asleep. They don't start whining and doing all those kinds of things because the expectations are much higher. Everybody in that car is happy. You're not going to have that. If you have all of this angst running around inside your car, arguing with the spouse, doing all that stuff, and then guess who's going to start doing it in the back seat? We're talking about an entire corporation. I don't care if it's a Bank of America Global or mom and pop's bakery down the street. It's the same thing. If mom and pop have a vision, everybody that works for mom and pop's going to have that vision. And they're going to be loved because people, when it gets down to it, you want to love and you want to be loved. You have those two things, nothing can stop you. You have them, okay? Kon, any final thoughts, buddy? We're going into 30 minutes already.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And I love the visual, Terry, because I think everybody can relate to that piece. And it's that understanding that if you can enjoy the journey along the way, you're not going to be asking, are we there yet? It's the same way. If you're going to be enjoying the journey and the people that you're with in achieving this vision and realizing this vision, you're not going to be worried about, are we there yet? Who do we need to fire to cut those numbers so we can make whatever goal artificially we set ourselves up for this quarter? This is a long-term game. This is trying to get things done in the long term because that's where you get the buy-in from people. That's where you get people that are jumping on the bandwagon with you because you can't do it alone. You need the right people. You need those aces in places to make things happen.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I just can't agree with you more. Cliche. It was very powerful, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a great conversation with my very good friend Kon Apostolopoulos, and Biz Solutions. Look it up, okay? He might even throw a link in the comments. Hint, hint. And let's talk about this some more because we've been talking about putting a thought leader in your board connection, a thought leader that's not in your board, somebody who's from outside of your industry is even better with international experience if you're an international corporation, certainly. But if you have somebody if you have that person come into your board with multiple industrial background, then you have somebody that can raise their hand and go, have you thought about this before you cut that division? Okay, add in some different things. Okay, you want to M&A, but you can't afford to access XYZ company. Well, maybe they could say, have you thought about just acquiring what you need out of the company and let them have the rest of the company because you don't want it anyway. So keep what you can keep that fits your environment, not necessarily the EBITDA, okay? The environment will create a raised EBITDA. My good friend Kon, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic inaugural session. First Fridays, everybody. The very first Friday of the month, 11 a.m. Eastern time. This has been great. Thank you, everybody, for stopping and for watching this. Put your comments below. We'll get to them. All right. Thanks, and bye for now.
Thank you, Terry.